Hello, welcome to R&B Reviews. In this edition, we're going to be looking at The Informant, starring Matt Damon. And it's a movie where Damon plays Mark, and he works for this company that ADM that takes corn and makes it into lysine, and it's used into other products. And he knows that there is some business practices that are illegal over there, and then he ends up becoming an informant for the FBI, and then it just goes on from there. Okay, Brendan, I gotta say, this has got to be the weirdest movie experience I've ever had. This beats the time I went to see Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants because I was a big Alexis Bledel fan, and I was the only guy in there. We walked in there, the room was full of older people.
It's like a retirement castle.
Yeah, the trailer made the movie look like a big laugh-out-loud comedy, like Matt Damon is the idiot working for the company, he's trying to bring them down. This is not a laugh-out-loud comedy at all, and the weird thing is, this movie looks like it's just about him trying to be an informant, and it turns out it's just a piece of the story. So this movie, I felt very tricked. I mean, I know trailers, sometimes they...
That's what trailers do. They're just made to trick people.
Yeah, they one of two things. They either put the whole movie in the trailer, or they edit it in a way that it's not like the movie at all, and people walk in thinking it's going to be something else, and it's not. So this movie, I felt very tricked.
I felt the trailer represented a good part of the movie that was pretty much about Matt Damon's character, Mark Whittaker, being the informant.
Yeah.
But not to give anything away with this movie, because if you go and see it, you don't want to know this part of it, but, you know, that's just a catalyst for a bigger story.
Yeah. And
that is really about Matt Damon's character.
Yeah, the first act of the film, I didn't feel at all interested in this movie. I didn't have the interest, but when the second act started, when he started actually doing the tapes and all that,
when he starts working with the FBI, I really liked watching that stuff.
Yeah, and then when the third act, you really root for the character. Then you get to the third act, and I felt very tricked. I didn't see that coming at all. It was like a big, big twist that I didn't.
Yeah, because you find yourself really rooting for the character in the first two acts. He's a pretty likable, average guy. I mean, he knows a lot of off-the-cuff facts, and he's really fun to watch. And then when third act rolls around, the movie just is giving you reasons not to like him.
Exactly.
And that's not what you want to do with a movie, is, you know, to take a character and then to make him unlikable. Not that they made him unlikable, it's just they made him more human and more fallible, I thought.
Yeah, but, I mean, I was just very disappointed. I mean, what I did like was all the actors, they assembled Matt Damon, good actor, they assembled some great character actors to be in this movie, and I loved the acting. That was probably one of my favorite parts. And what drove me nuts is the score. It felt like it came out of a 60s James Bond movie, and this movie is set.
If you notice, every time like a new scene comes in, the score posts very loudly, and the score is much louder than any of the dialogue happening, and it's distracting, I thought, with the overall mood of the movie.
I really thought so too.
They were going for a sort of 60s movie aesthetic that didn't really, I think, pan out.
Yeah, it's set in the 90s. It's set in Decatur, Illinois, and the music just I didn't think flowed very well with the picture. You know,
it's not funny. It's funny in sort of like you're smiling at what's happening on the screen, but you're not rolling around laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, the character of Mark Whittaker he always has this constant narration that's going on. Like during a scene when someone else is talking to him, it sort of gives you the narration, like what he's thinking and saying to himself.
Yeah, I thought that was overdone. There were some times I thought it worked, but it felt like every other scene it was there, and sometimes I felt like it didn't add to what we were seeing and all that. I mean, sometimes it kind of led into what the scene was going to go into, but
I think it put us in the character's shoes a little more and got us to see the movie through his eyes. But then again, you find out some things in the movie that his character is hiding from you, and you almost kind of feel a little betrayed because you have that constant narration that gives you an immediate connection to the character. He's telling the audience, what if I called, the FBI agent, Bry instead of Brian, small things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I enjoyed the movie a little more than you. I really liked the overall story, and, Matt Damon's character, he really just tries to justify all of his actions, even if they're completely wrong. In his mind, he's doing the right thing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I like watching a character like that. I mean, he's not a hero, he's not anti-hero, he's sort of just an everyday guy.
Yeah.
He almost does these things that are so obvious to make him look like an informant. Like he's tapping on the recording device during a meeting, and the guy just slams the briefcase. Hey, get your head in the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's small things like that. I really like watching the character as the informant himself. But later on, the movie goes different directions, and I wasn't as crazy about that as you were. I mean, it's a really funny movie.
It gets complicated.
It does get complicated, and they throw a lot of chemistry around too with the lysine kind of stuff in the beginning. But later on in the movie, it just gets a little complicated because you're not sure what's the truth and what's a lie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because the movie kind of takes that turn, and you're kind of guessing, like you're never sure what to believe in the end of the film.
Yeah. So, I like what I liked with Matt Damon's character is deep down he does think about his wife, he does think about his family.
He's not a selfish man.
No, he's not. He's just thinking about his family. But unfortunately, even though it looks like he's looking out for their best interests, in the end, I didn't quite get that, especially at the end. So I mean, I think deep down he is a person that cares about his family, wants the best for them. But in the end, I just felt like that he didn't make some good decisions and all. So.
Well, this movie has its issues, but what it has going for it is a great cast. I mean, Matt Damon is one of those actors who just is constantly doing different parts and doing a really good job at them. Look at the Jason Bourne movies and like The Departed and Good Will Hunting. I mean, stuff like that. He's always picking something new and different to do, and that's what I like about him. And he does a great job in this movie, as does the entire supporting cast.
Yeah. The acting was good. I have no problem with the acting. I also liked the cinematography. I thought everything was well lit. I felt like I was in an office. I know I've worked in an office, and sometimes the lighting comes off just like how I saw it in the movie. And it was the lighting, the cinematography. I thought it looked very good. It made the picture look very good.
I wasn't crazy. At times I thought the cinematography was almost a little too bright, like the lights coming in from the outside. But maybe that's just nitpicking. But I wasn't that crazy about it. If you really want to see The Informant, don't go to see it in theaters. Wait and rent it. I mean, if you really want to see a movie in theaters, maybe go check it out. But I gotta say, rent it. I mean,
yeah, I was actually this close to saying snuff it, but then I realized the trailer tricked me, and I think that would be very unfair. So I'm also gonna go with rent it on DVD. But it sounds like you did like the movie more than I did. I was very disappointed with this movie. I felt tricked the whole time. But the acting's good. I think the cinematography is good, and the writing is very smart, so there's it's just about enough to recommend on DVD. But yeah, I didn't think it was worth.
There's no reason to go out, rush, and watch this on the big screen or anything. And I think with a movie like this is because the movie shifts its focus kind of so many times during the film, you kind of get a little lost, and you do feel tricked by the character or the trailer.
Yeah.
But so we're going with a rent it.
Yeah, I'm going with a mild rent it. You're going with a much bigger rent it than I. Plus, don't believe those commercials that say laugh out loud funny, because it's not a laugh out loud roll in the floor comedy like you said. I've seen a couple of commercials that said that, and it's not quite like that at all.
That's lesson learned. Trailers they're just made they're there to manipulate the audience.
Well, our verdict for Informant is we're both going to give the movie a rent it, so feel free to leave any feedback or comments. And if you did like the movie, go ahead and tell us your thoughts if you didn't like it as well. And we'll see you on the next edition of R&B Reviews. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe.
Thanks for watching.